How do you explain evil? I asked Kathy if we could take you 3 kids for a walk on the beach. And that's when you kids talked to Ed and I.
I remember.
What did they tell you?
Well, we didn't want to frighten them. We told Kathy. And we let you guys talk. And we remember this. And they went about the noises. And they were talking about how he would stand at the top of the stairs and yell and scream about marching bands that were downstairs and rugs that were all rolled up.
Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. This is a very interesting subject on this video because of the fact that it deals with a particular haunted house that always drew attraction to me, that I've always attracted to, and this one has a lot to do with the Lutz family. And there's a lot of controversy surrounding that particular story about the Lutz family that moved into Amityville at 112 Ocean Avenue, if I remember correctly on the address. And the point is, this was after the DeFeo family, after the family massacre. And this is during the 70s. And there's the original story, which because it was made into a movie later on. And the thing about it is, a lot of it was not really completely accurate, or at least some of it. There were some parts that they actually left out. And when I heard the true story, which is from Danny, the oldest son, I believe that he's telling the truth. I actually believe him. I don't think he was hallucinating. I don't think he was making it up for attention or anything like that. No. I do believe what actually happened in the house happened. And I honestly, strongly believe, and this is the conclusion that I drew down, that it was not exactly the house that was haunted. It was the Lutz family. It was all caused by the stepfather, George Lutz, which I know I shouldn't really talk ill of the dead, for people who passed away and stuff like that, but to me, he was a piece of shit. A serious fucking asshole. There was a lot about him that he did not admit about himself to the media, and he actually was involved in something that became a catalyst. They actually started the whole thing and made the whole entire situation worse. It was bad enough that the DeFeo family was murdered by the oldest son, Ronnie DeFeo, with the shotgun, the rifle that he used. But then to go as far as to even use part of that into the story, as the whole family was possessed by an evil spirit, or the disembodied souls or whatever that was buried in that property, ancient Indian burial ground. Oh my gosh, I'm very sorry. Ancient Indian burial ground, and then did that cause and there was a lot of satanic stuff that happened there. I don't buy into any of that shit. The DeFeo family was really fucked up, and there was a lot of family drama, and they left behind a lot of negative energies because of that. And then George Lutz, from the actual eyewitness accounts of the oldest son, his stepson Danny, what he actually said, and also what was said about George Lutz, about what he was involved in. You gotta listen to this because it's, to me, it's fucked up as hell.
Do you think that George triggered whatever was in the house? That it was attracted to him, almost like
His personality. It's a strong possibility. It is a strong possibility, but you had to kind of pad yourself to take George on.
My mother and the three of us were basically naive to that which George was into as his own personal recreation. Right. You know, and then only slowly, he wasn't entering some world as we met him. He was in full swing in his world, in his beliefs and that which he practiced. And one is to be able to control somebody else's mind, some is to be able to control an object. He mastered both of them. I don't know who taught it to him. I don't know how long it took. Don't know. I think somewhere along the line that the George's beliefs and practices and things that he was directly involved with triggered and was a catalyst to what was going on in the house, and it was kind of like a magic trick gone bad that you couldn't shut off.
what was he involved with?
Laying of hands and what do you call that when you can move objects with your mind and with your hands? Telekinesis. Thought projection.
When did this start?
As soon as the first minute I walked into his house and I realized this is what the shit that's on his bookshelves.
Well, I mean, if you walked into my house and you looked in my bookcase, you would pretty much see a lot of things on
You have
site.
Satan's Bibles with bookmarks in it, and pictures photographed all over on the wall.
No, but I have a lot of books on site on various aspects of parapsychology, the supernatural. I have a couple of books on witchcraft and magic. But let's face it, I mean, what do you think the chances, realistically, what do you think the chances were that no matter how many books George read, that he was going to be able to start moving objects with his mind?
I witnessed it.
You witnessed what? Exactly.
George's ability to move objects without touching them with his mind. In his garage before we even got there.
And that made it clearly evident that George Lutz was involved in something. And Danny actually pretty much, because, you know, his mom got married to him. They moved into his house. And this was before they moved into Amityville. And I don't know how long they lived in his house. But he didn't like him from the start. And he didn't have any father skills. And he was like straight up strict Marine kind of thing. And he took beatings from him and his siblings. And his mom condoned it. Either he actually, in my opinion, I think he was able to mentally manipulate her. Mentally just take control of her and make her do what he wanted her to do. And not only is that scary, but it's extremely fucked up. I just can't even imagine what he must have went through. And this is like before Amityville. And this was another thing that he said he witnessed, according to him, according to Danny.
Did you find any evidence that he understood the occult and supernatural before they moved into the house? That George Lutz specifically?
What George Lutz always maintained to me was that he was a non-practicing Methodist. The rumors that I've heard, second, third, fourth hand over the years, were that he had an abiding interest in the occult.
I think that
Lutz triggered something off by being open to it, by previous activity possibly on the part of Ronnie DeFeo. They were fooling around and got themselves in very deep with something dark and something evil that they totally didn't understand, nor were they aware of.
You know, we were invited by the Cromiters to come after the Lutzes, the family that moved in. And this was in December of 77. So we went through the entire place. We took pictures. We took infrared pictures. And I had a psychic, Ron Magabite, no longer living, that I'd worked with for many, many years. So Ron Magabite walks through the house. I said, so what do you think? And he said, wow. And I said, what? And he said, there's a lot of ritual magic going on in that house, or has been. And he goes, with the Lutzes involved in ritual magic. This was all about black magic being done in this house. And then he felt the residual effects of that were these psychological, hallucinatory experiences that people thought were real, but they're not really real, but they are paranormally induced.
There are allegations that he knew more about the occult and the supernatural before they moved in than he's admitted or ever did admit in his life.
George Lutz obviously denied being a practitioner of the occult. He says he doesn't believe in it, that he's a practicing Methodist and things like that. Just knowing how much this fucking punk actually lied. And he also wanted to, even though he was the cause of it, he wasn't going to be stupid enough to say, yeah, it was my fault. I haunted my family. Because that wouldn't be cost effective for him. Especially if he got approached for making a book deal. And then into a movie later on. And they got royalties for it. He got paid for it. So he wanted to change the story. Fabricate a little bit here and there. To make it seem like the house was haunted and that it wasn't his own doing. And he profited from it. He did. And Danny got so angry when he was old enough, he just said, this is what happened, this is what really happened. And I got pissed off. I got really, really fucking pissed off. And he knew that he was no good from the start. And here's another example of it.
Had either of you had any experience before with the occult or the supernatural? Ever before? We didn't believe in it.
I was purposely nosing into George's business, but there were things, when you walked into George's house, it wasn't inviting and welcoming. If you read his bookcase, you know, it would range from transcendental meditation to Buddhism, satanic history, mind control type of books, and hypnosis books. This guy was into some pretty dark stuff. When I started thumbing through these books, and they're sacrificing virgins at devil worship rallies and, you know, shit like this, and I'm reading this in the book, and I walk over to my mother, and she just cracked me over the head and said, put this back and don't take it off the shelf. And I looked at her and I said, absolutely not. You married this guy, you moved me to his house, what the hell is he into?
And that's exactly the point. What the fuck was this guy into? That raises up a serious red flag. And she still wanted to be with him. And that's the kind of thing that pisses me off a lot. And here's one example of what Danny actually witnessed as far as the dark secrets of George Lutz.
Well, that when you can move objects with your mind and with your hands. Telekinesis. Thought projection.
When did this start?
The first minute I walked into his house and I realized this is what the shit that's on his bookshelves.
Well, I mean, if you walked into my house and you looked in my bookcase, you would pretty much see a lot of things on
Do you have
site.
Satan's Bibles with bookmarks in it, and pictures photographed all over on the wall?
No, but I have a lot of books on site on various aspects of parapsychology, the supernatural. I have a couple of books on witchcraft and magic. But let's face it, I mean, what do you think the chances, realistically, what do you think the chances were that no matter how many books George read, that he was going to be able to start moving objects with his mind?
I witnessed it.
You witnessed what? Exactly.
George's ability to move objects without touching them with his mind. In his garage before we even got to Amityville. And he was in the garage with his friends. He can move wrenches just like that, like this, and walk over and put them down. It takes him a couple of minutes to get there. It takes about, once he's got it in his hand, it would take about a minute to drop it, but he can do it. And I was not supposed to know this. I just stumbled in on it after school. And my mother didn't know, and I went running into the house. I didn't know if she knew at that time, and I went and told her. She looked at me like, what? Well, I pulled her out into the garage. I said, I want you to show my mom what you just did right now. And the guys got up and left. Didn't say a word. And I had a doctor's appointment that night, too. And I went and I told the doctor second by second what had happened. He didn't offer an explanation. He just kept writing.
And there you have it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And to all of you, take care.